Welcome to Narc Abuse No More, where we're here to help educate you about narcissistic abuse because your feelings do matter. Hi, and welcome to another broadcast of Narc Abuse No More with your host, Dr. and Evangelist K.O. Rich. Thanks for tuning in today. Today is Wednesday, July the 27th of 2022. I pray that you've had a blessed, stress-free, narcissistic-free, abuse-free week so far, and that the remainder of this week will continue to be so as well. But if not, we're going to be talking about a few things today. Again, my name is Dr. K.O. Rich with Narc Abuse No More, where we're here to help you admit what you feel in order to heal from the effects of narcissistic abuse, because your feelings do matter. Yes, they do. But before we go on with today's broadcast, I would like to invite you to visit us on our website at www.narcabusenomore.org. Again, that website address is www.narcabusenomore.org. And on our website, you find valuable information regarding narcissism, regarding relationships. You can also read the latest blogs that I have done. I do them irregularly, but I got a couple on the website. And let me just say this: if you have missed any of the podcasts, all you gotta do is just go to the website and listen. We are on every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, 9 a.m. Central on SoundCloud, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Spreaker, Google Play, iTunes, Deezer, Castbox. We're also on Amazon, Audible, Rumble, and YouTube. So you have a variety of different platforms to listen to us from. Now, the thing is, whatever the platform you like best, download it on your phone, on your app, from the App Store. Make sure you put us in the favorites, and then it will alert you as to whenever we post new content. All right, what are we talking about today? We're talking about fixing codependent relationships. Fixing codependent relationships. Now, you may be what we would consider a codependent. You are relying on someone else to support you, whether it's emotionally, whether it's mentally, whether it's physically. And this is not to say that you can't rely on other people for help. But when you're dealing with codependency, you're dealing with a person who is an unhealthy balance, and so you don't have this uniqueness of yourself. You may have lost your sense of self. You may be struggling to even know yourself. And so when you're dealing with the relationship, you might have been the codependent in that relationship, and now you need to be able to break free in order to know what your needs are, with your to have a sense of self-worth, and be able to get back to maybe the person you was before you got into this relationship. Or you might be in a relationship where things are for the most part okay, but then you know that you are a codependent. So we're going to talk about that, because in order to heal from that type of relationship, you need to get treated for it. Now, the first thing I'm going to say is sometimes people have to go to an actual counseling session, to go to therapy. And if that is you, then do not be afraid to do so. This will only help you be better with relationships in the future, your relationships in the present. And if you have been in any type of abusive, toxic type of relationships, then it is so important for you to get the help that you need. So we're going to talk about today some tips for us overcoming codependency in relationships, because you want to break that pattern, and you want to be able to have healthy boundaries, have healthy relationships, stay away from toxic things, even if that toxic person may be you. You may say, it's some things that I'm allowing, some things that I should not have done, some things I am doing, and I need to make sure that I am not bringing a bag of unhealthy Okay, you carrying some weights, a bag of unhealthy into this relationship or any future relationship. So today I would like to just give you a website you can get this valuable information from, marriage.com. And this is not just dealing with marriage. This is for any type of relationship that you may find yourself in, whether it's a friend, whether it's a co-worker, whether it's a spouse, maybe you're dating. So you don't want to be a codependent in any type of relationships. This does not mean that you don't sometimes need other people. We all need somebody at some point in our lives. However, you don't want it to be where it's unhealthy, where it's imbalanced, where it causes the relationship to be toxic or keep you in a toxic relationship because you are a codependent. So number one, when you're dealing with codependency, you need to question your intentions. And the thing is, are you benefiting when you make decisions within that relationship? Or are you doing it because it's solely for the other person, or are you doing it for yourself? Or if it's a mixture. Now, if you're doing things because it's good for the relationship, period, and there's no one that's being taken advantage of or abused or anything of that nature, you're not feeling as if you're being taken advantage of, then that's okay. But so you have to question your intentions. Are your intentions more of a benefit for you or the person that you're involved in this relationship? Because oftentimes when you're dealing with unhealthy relationships, you have a codependent that is a people pleaser, and so therefore they have a problem with saying no. Have you found that you have a problem with saying no? We're going to talk about that just a little bit more later on. Or you putting everyone else's needs above your own. You're neglecting yourself. You're not taking care of yourself. You're not doing any self-care, and then you're building up resentment because you're hating that you're putting everybody's needs above your own. Well, guess what? You got to stop it. You have to have some balance. You have to empower yourself. It is so important to take care of yourself as well as you take care of others. When you get on the airplane, what do they do for those who have flown? What do they tell you when you get on the airplane? Those stewardess and different ones that are working as the airline stewardess or stewardman, whatever they call the males. The thing is that they'll tell you to put on your mask first so that you can help somebody else. Because if you pass out and while you're trying to help somebody else, then you're no good to that particular person. So you need to put on your mask first. That means self-care. Okay, do some self-care first, and then you can be good for everyone else. Sometimes you got to go in and get that tune-up. Sometimes you got to check your emission fluid. You have to check your battery levels. You have to make sure that your tires has air in it before you start traveling to do something else for somebody else. Okay, I'm just using a car as an example, but the thing is, you have to take care of you as well. If you always put everyone else's needs above your own, then guess what? You're gonna wind up being burnt out. And most of the time, when people get burned out, then they get frustrated. They're dealing with anger. They're dealing with resentment because they feel like you're making me do something that I don't want to do. But then you have to open your mouth and say, you know what, I do have to do some things for me. So therefore, again, as I always tell her, you teach people how to treat you by what you allow them to do to you. Number 2, learn to identify your own feelings. We often say on this broadcast that your feelings do matter. And yes, they do. They first have to matter to you because you can't expect everyone else to think about your feelings. When you're dealing with narcissists, toxic individuals, when you're dealing with abusers, they're only thinking about themselves. They're not thinking about you. So you have to make sure that you think about your own feelings. Take your own feelings into consideration. Identify what your feelings are. Know what you feel. If something is uncomfortable to you, then you identify that and say that, you know what, this is not comfortable for me, so therefore I'm not going to do X, Y, and Z. No, this is not the proper time for me to do it. I don't feel comfortable. I don't feel led to do it, or whatever the case may be. So you have to identify your own feelings. Take those feelings into consideration. All right. And then make sure that you are in touch with your feelings and do not allow anyone else to make you feel as if you are being selfish or you're not looking out for their interests, when you definitely need to take your feelings into consideration as well. Number 3, practice spending time alone. Sometimes we're so used to other people being around us, but you don't get it. You're not able to really be in touch with your own feelings and your own emotions if you don't spend any time by yourself doing that self-care. And sometimes that self-care involves spending some quality time with you. You're probably taking the kids to school. You're doing things for your spouse. You're doing things on the job. You might be doing things at church, and you're not taking any time for yourself. So give yourself some time to get to know yourself inside and outside of that relationship, apart from that relationship that you might be codependent in. So many people, you might say, well, I don't know what I would do if I lose my spouse. Well, as horrible and as difficult and challenging as losing a loved one is, you need to also be able to know how you will operate if you winded up and that was a worst case scenario where you did lose that spouse, or you so codependent where you would just totally shut down and not be able to function. Or would you say, okay, I can, I know what to do, I know what bills to take care of, I know what situations I need to do to have that self-care, I know how to operate, I know how to function, I know what to do in the event of losing a loved one, or if there's a state of emergency or something of that nature where you can care for you. Number 4, lean into the discomfort. As human beings, we are often programmed to try to avoid discomfort. We try to stay away from pain. And while that's a good thing to not allow ourselves to be in painful situations, we sometimes learn from those painful situations. So I'm not saying put yourself in a situation, but how do you deal with those situations when you are having to when you're confronted with them? So until you learn that we have that capacity to manage uncomfortable situations, you will never know how you will maneuver or how you will operate when something of that nature takes place. Again, this may be involving a relationship, and you might say, well, I'm staying in this relationship because I don't want to deal with the pain of losing that person. But if the pain of losing that person far outweighs the pain that you are experiencing while you're in that relationship, then you need to go ahead and experience that relationship, the pain of losing that person, rather than dealing with the pain of being in a relationship where you're being abused, misused, and violated as a human being. Number 5, practice making decisions. Oftentimes when people are in relationships and you're dealing with toxic relationships, unhealthy relationships, abusive relationships, stressful relationships, you're dealing with where you're not making decisions. You feel as if I'm incompetent to make a decision because maybe that abuser made you feel as if you can never do anything right. Maybe that toxic relationship had you so stressed out that you were walking on eggshells, afraid to make the wrong decision, the right decision, so you made no decision. So you lose your voice sometimes when you're dealing with relationships. And if you are the codependent, you need to gain your voice again. Give yourself a chance to make decisions. Say, well, okay, I want to wear pink today. I want to go to the neighbors today. I want to take on a job today. I want to take on a class today. You need to make decisions and be comfortable with those decisions, even if that means saying no to someone who wants you to do something. That is a decision that you need to make. It's also a boundary to say that it's okay for me to say no. It's okay for me to say this is not comfortable for me. It's okay for me to be okay. So give yourself that chance to make decisions. We're going to take a quick break and we'll be back in just a moment.
From a distance, the world looks blue and green, and snow-capped mountains white. From a distance, the ocean meets the stream, and the eagle takes to flight. From a distance, there is harmony, and it echoes through the land. It's the voice of hope, it's the voice of peace, it's the voice of every man. From a distance, we all have enough, and no one is in need. And there are no guns, no bombs, and no disease, no hungry mouths to feed. From a distance, we are instruments marching in a common plan, playing songs of hope, playing songs of peace. They're the songs of every man. God is watching us, God is watching us, God is watching us from a distance. From a distance, you look like my friend, even though we are at war. From a distance, I just cannot comprehend what all this fighting is for. From a distance, there is harmony, and it echoes through the land. And it's the hope of hopes, it's the love of loves, it's the heart of every man. It's the hope of hopes, it's the love of loves. This is the song of every man. And God is watching us, God is watching us, God is watching us from a distance. Oh, God is watching us, God is watching, God is watching us from a distance.
From a Distance, and that is by Bette Midler. All right, so we're talking about codependency and learning how to not be a codependent in a relationship. If you want healthy relationships, you want to set healthy boundaries, then we're talking about steps to fix codependent relationships. Number 6 is allow space for confrontation, and this does not mean arguments. That what this means is that there in a relationship, in any healthy relationship, is bound to have some kind of disagreement. If you're always yes, 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 then you're never gonna have that possible maybe confrontation, because you're always gonna be trying to please the other person. You're not gonna actually say what your feelings mean, and you do that in order to avoid the confrontation. Now, when you're dealing with people that are toxic and you're in a toxic relationship, they will take advantage of that, and therefore you will lose your sense of self. It is okay to have disagreements. You can agree to disagree. There's no relationship that's going to agree on everything. So just because you have a confrontation does not mean that it has to be an unhealthy type of confrontation. But it is okay to say no, or I'm not comfortable with this, or just let that person know that this is where I stand with this particular situation. When you're dealing with narcissists, they don't care about your feelings, so you have to care about your feelings. You can't be so afraid to be in a confrontation that you allow them to walk all over you, because if you do, they definitely will. So you're trying to get your voice and stop being in a codependent type of relationship. Number 7, ask for help. Oftentimes people are afraid to ask for help. They're afraid to be assertive. You're over reliant on someone else, and again, nobody's gonna when you're dealing with a toxic relationship, that other person is not going to respect your feelings. So therefore, you have to be the one to respect your feelings. You have to be the voice to speak out for yourself. And if you need help, then get help with someone who can help you to voice and be that voice that you need in that relationship. Not saying that they're going to come into the relationship, but if you need a counselor, if you need a therapist to help you to break the patterns of codependency, where you will not be over reliant on someone, then that is something that you need to do. Codependency, you can sometimes be manipulated by your partners, or you might be manipulating others, acting a certain way without actually voicing your needs. And if you don't tell someone that something is not comfortable for you, sometimes they will not know. So you don't want to be manipulative, even with saying yes, 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 knowing that you actually mean no, no, no. Therefore, if you need help with trying to break the passiveness that you are experiencing or maybe giving off in that relationship, then it's time to talk to someone to help you to know how to go about breaking the codependency that you have in that relationship. Number 8, learn to say no. Oftentimes you may fear rejection. How many of us want to be rejected? No one wants to be rejected. Rejection does not feel good. However, there is a time when you have to say no. Oftentimes when you're dealing with people pleasers, they're afraid the person won't like them, or people are going to be mad at them if they don't do what they want to do, and so they will do it and say yes grudgingly when they really want to say no. You have to be comfortable with your own experience. You have to be comfortable with yourself in that relationship. And if someone can't appreciate you, if someone can't value you even when you say no, then that is not much of a relationship anyway. So therefore, it is so important for you to voice what you really feel. And if you want to say no, then say no. Don't say yes just because you're trying to appease and please other people. Because guess what? When you're dealing with narcissists and you're dealing with toxic individuals, you are dealing with people who you will never be able to please no matter how much you do. So you might as well do things that's going to make you feel good in the process. We're going to take another quick break, and we'll be back in just a moment.
for so long. Beautiful smile to hide the pain. Did you ever know that you're my hero? And everything I would like to be. I can fly higher than an eagle. You are the wind beneath my wings. It might have appeared to go unnoticed, but I've got it all here in my mind. I want you to know I know the truth. Of course I know I would be nothing without you. Did you ever know that you're my hero? You're everything I wish I could be. I could fly higher than an eagle. For you are the wind beneath my wings. Did I ever tell you you're my hero? You're everything, everything I wish I could be. Oh, night I can fly higher than an eagle. 'Cause you are the wind beneath my wings. Oh, wind beneath my wings. Fly, fly away. You let me fly so high. Thank you, thank God for you, the wind beneath my wings.
Wind Beneath My Wings, and that is by Bette Midler. So we're talking still on codependency and fixing codependent relationships. Number 9, sometimes you have to put yourself in other person's shoes, observe yourself through the eyes of a loved one. And let me just say, it's like this. Would you want to be in a relationship with you? So what would it be like if you were in a relationship with you? Would you be comfortable being your own best friend, being your child, being your parent, being your spouse? What if roles were reversed and you were in a relationship with somebody that was you? Not like you. If it was possible to duplicate yourself and you're in a relationship with somebody like you, and if you know that you would hate to be in a relationship with you, then how do you think others feel? Another thing, if you are in the relationship and you feel, okay, I would be, if you're honest with yourself, I wouldn't mind being in a relationship with somebody like me. Then if you're in the opposite, what I mean is, I'm not talking about you all have to like the same thing or of that nature, but if you're being treated wrong in this relationship, abused in this relationship, And you're seeing that, you know what, I want somebody that would treat me as I would treat them. Whether it's a parent relationship, a child relationship, a spousal relationship, a co-worker relationship, a friendship. Then it's time to make some changes. Because what would you hope for someone to tell you in your relationship if you was in a relationship with someone that was like you? Last but not least, number 10, find your voice. When you are in a relationship, sometimes you will lose your voice if you allow that to happen. It's easy to do it when you're in a toxic relationship, an unhealthy marriage, a toxic dating relationship, an abusive, maybe spousal or parent-child relationship, co-worker on the job, or anything of that nature, and you lose your voice. So now it's time to find your voice again. Give yourself the opportunity to let others hear your voice. That means that I'm not going along just to get along. If it's something that I'm not comfortable with, I'm going to say it. If it's something that I want to do in life, I'm going to do it. If it's something that I want to change about myself, I'm going to change it. But whatever it is, find your voice. Give yourself permission to be your best cheerleader and your best advocate. Voice your needs. Voice your opinions. Voice your thoughts. Make changes that you feel that you need to make. Stop listening to all the other voices that may be running around in your head that say, oh, you can't, you won't, you shouldn't. No. Be your own voice. Find your own voice. And most importantly, for those of us who are Christians, we listen to the voice of the Holy Spirit, who will lead, guide, and give wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. When you're in relationships that are unhealthy, you lose a sense of yourself. You might have been in it a year, 2 years, 10, 20, 30. But then you will find broken pieces of yourself scattered throughout. Be your voice. You don't have to allow anyone to abuse, misuse, or manipulate you. You don't have to rely on someone when they are shattering you to pieces. You don't need to rely on someone who is not healthy for you. Stand up for yourself. Be assertive. Make decisions. Be comfortable with your decisions. Find your voice. Don't be passive. If it's something that you're not comfortable with, say no. And the thing is, you have to be comfortable with other people not liking your response or telling you they may not like your no's. And that's okay, because you're saying yes to you. You can't please everyone. And just like others don't try to please you, that toxic individual is not trying to please you. You have to do what's best for you. Be comfortable in your own skin. Stop relying on unhealthy people to make you healthy. Stop relying on toxic individuals to be your medicine of healing. They can't. That can only come from within. All right, we are up out of here. I pray that today's broadcast has been a blessing to you, and that you know that, hey, your feelings, they do matter. This is Dr. K.L. Rich, where narc abuse no more, where we're here to help you admit what you feel in order to heal from the effects of narcissistic abuse, because your feelings do matter. Until next time.